All right, guys, I know that this says rumor at the top there, but I believe this has gone into confirmed territory. There are enough sources reporting enough things about this that I think that it is worth talking a little bit about. This isn't really what I like to do on this channel, but I think that there are some things that I do like talking about, worth talking about in correlation with this announcement, maybe announcement, kind of speculation, somewhere in between. So, from comicbookmovie.com, which I have to admit I did not know was still a thing, I have to admit that with the advent of, or I guess I should say, profligation of YouTube channels over these subjects, plus the fact that I kind of stopped caring about Marvel movies quite some time ago, I had no idea comic book movie was still a thing, and seeing the name Josh Wilding really took me back. Now, an article titled Marvel Studios is now moving forward with a Hulk versus Wolverine movie. We get this from the article. It's easy to forget now, but The Incredible Hulk was right there alongside Iron Man in 2008 when the Marvel Cinematic Universe launched. Very underrated movie. So that movie has the greatest fight scene of any comic book movie ever. I stand by that. The movie was neither a hit nor a flop, but given the tepid response to the reboot and behind the scenes issues with actor Edward Norton, it soon became the franchise's black sheep. Rights issues also came into play, and it wasn't until 2022's She-Hulk Attorney at Law that the Incredible Hulk was referenced in a meaningful way. Next up is The Leader's Return in February's Captain America Brave New World. A whole bunch of stuff right there I don't care about. There have been rumblings for at least the past year or two about a World War Hulk or Hulks movie in development at Marvel Studios. There's no way we'll see that before Avengers Secret Wars. And a new rumor points out there being other plans for the Jade Giant moving forward. According to Scooper My Time to Shine H, Marvel Studios has begun actively developing a Hulk versus Wolverine movie. There's no word on what form this project will take or which variants of these characters we can expect to see square off. It could be another multiversal adventure starring Hugh Jackman and Mark Ruffalo, for example, or perhaps a story set in whatever the MCU looks like after the supposed soft reboot Secret Wars will lead to. If it's the latter, then we might see a new actor play Wolverine, with Hulk factoring into his origin story similar to their first clash in the comics. Logan, then working for Department H, battled the Green Goliath during his first appearance in 1974's Incredible Hulk number 180. For what it's worth, Jackman has been rooting for this team up since at least 2014. There's no doubt he'd get in a fight with the Hulk at some point, the actor said at the time. Those two bad, rage-filled characters are going to square off at some point. It would be quite fun. I don't know how much fun to shoot it would be, because I'm sure I'd be on the worst end of it, but hey, he can heal. In 2020, he added Wolverine would beat the Hulk for sure. Let's just be very clear. I don't know if you know this, but the Wolverine actually appeared first in a Hulk comic. He was like a last page, some guy coming, so it was the Hulk series. He appeared, so that's sort of where that feud came from, and then Wolverine sort of took on this whole new life, so I'm sure the Hulk is very jealous. Deadpool and Wolverine teased that clash, but it seems Marvel Studios might be saving the full fight for its own movie somewhere down the line. Now, I have some thoughts on this that I want to talk about here. The first thing being this: hey, this is a win, and a loss. What do I mean by that? Well, number one, a win. This should be an awesome movie. So long as they do it correctly, there's really no excuse for this not to be an amazing movie. These two characters, now I'm not very high on Ruffalo. For some reason, Mark Ruffalo always strikes me as someone who's just about to break character, and it really takes me out of the movie. But the characters themselves, really good. This is a classic comic feud. between Wolverine and the Hulk. This is almost in the canon of Wolverine. So Wolverine's the character with whom I am most familiar. In the canon of Wolverine, this is almost as iconic as Wolverine versus Sabretooth. Almost as iconic as versus his arch enemy, Sabretooth. Now, kind of weird to be talking about these ideas as an adult, but here's the importance of this. For my generation, the comics still live in here. If you're talking about culture building, these movies have the potential to live for generations. In my mind's eye, those comics, those comic covers, individual panels from those comics from the 1980s are still alive. It's a cultural win in this way. This is something akin to classic literature for my generation. People older than me grew up with Hemingway still alive and writing novels. Now, I love Hemingway. Hemingway's a great author. But to me, it's ancient literature, basically. I was born in 1985. Hemingway, his work was done before then, before he started painting ceilings. This, to me, watching a younger generation relish in, would be massive. That is a cultural win. The way that me reading Hemingway carries forward that bit of Americana. The way that me reading Emily Dickinson carries forward that bit of Americana. And you can see those videos on Strip Cover Lit. That's where I talk about literature. But this is sort of the same thing for my generation. The next thing, this is a win because this is a very clear sign that the culture war, quote unquote, is turning. This is not a movie that anyone at Marvel would have wanted to do 3 years ago. This is not a movie anyone at Marvel would be willing to concede 5 years ago. Frankly, even to the uninitiated, what this rivalry looks like is just a bunch of punching, right? To the uninitiated, this would be a cultureless, this would be a plotless, this would be a movie without merit. This would be something that is big and dumb and ugly. This would be the very worst of that which people make fun of the Marvel movies for. It's just two guys hunting each other down for the whole movie to fight each other. There's so many other things that can be done with this movie. So we'll get into this a little bit later, but depending on how you want to, where you want to find these characters, depending on when you want to find these characters, there's a lot of things that can be done and can be done with a point in mind, can be done with an actual plot line. There's a lot of things that can be done with these characters. No one at Marvel 4 years ago would have conceded that. They would have thought, what a worthless movie. What a terrible movie idea. Two guys punching each other for 90 minutes. It's not what it is. One of the things that the Marvel movies have gotten away from is an exhibition of that which these characters are capable. So you look at the first Iron Man movie, and kind of it was Iron Man flexing what it meant to be Iron Man. Oh, I'm stuck in a cave and you think you're going to kill me here. Oh, well, we'll see about that, pal. He escapes the cave, starts making those suits on his own, and now there's another character who thinks he's going to steal the technology from him. Oh, you think that, do you? Well, look what my suit can do. That is very classic sort of hero building. We don't really get that from Marvel anymore. So, how's this a loss? Well, this is a clear sign Well, yeah, they're listening to fans, they're listening to what people want, they're listening to box office, they're listening to dollars. But this is a very clear sign now that they're grasping towards straws and they have no idea what they're doing and they just want to make money. This was nowhere on the road plan. And there are rumors of a super secret Marvel movie that could be popping up in the next couple of years, meaning that the development process has already gone through and there are probably things being shot right now. The fact that maybe that is the Wolverine versus Hulk movie, guys, that's terrifying for a, ironically, juggernaut that used to be Marvel Studios. If they're just flying by the seat of their pants, it could all come crashing down in a single 3-year frame. For whatever Marvel is now, it took a long time for them to fall to this point. It was not everything all at once. It took a long time going back. What, Captain Marvel? I know I saw that movie. I can't tell you a single thing about it, right? Maybe all the way from back then is where this started. So the number 2 point here, I would be absolutely fine if this movie were a quote unquote standalone Other Worlds type of movie. Just make it a pure story, and it doesn't matter what universe it's in. If you are going to make this movie, it does not have to fall into the Marvel continuum. I think that everyone right now is I think that Marvel and DC, I think that characters from Marvel and DC are mainstream enough that what was sort of rumored to be going on with Battinson, that there would be multiple concurrent Batmanses, I think you can do that anymore. I think you can. I think people are able to understand this does fit in the timeline. This doesn't fit in the timeline. I don't have to see all of the movies anyway. So if that's what it takes to get a project like this made, is just to say, okay, we got Hugh Jackman and we've got Mark Ruffalo. I cannot figure out where to put this in the timeline. I cannot figure out where to put this as far as XYZ is concerned. No one cares. Make this movie. No one thinks that the animated movies are in the timeline of Marvel. No one cares. No one thinks that any of the stuff that happens, the X-Men 97 cartoon, no one thinks that is interfering with the next, I don't even know what Marvel's coming out with Captain America 4. No one cares. They don't all have to kiss in order to be relevant. Make good movies. And whether they're connected to the timeline or not, people will see them. It is fun, however, to wonder when and where this might take place. Could we see that Wolverine origin story? At least, don't talk about Wolverine origin, I guess. Don't mention those words so close together. But could we see the way that Wolverine popped into the comics? Could we see the Grey Hulk? Could we actually get a timeline specific movie, but instead of the Green Hulk, who's a scientist now, we get Grey Hulk, the Grey Hulk version? Could we get the Whiskers mask? So this is the origin of Wolverine. This is the first time he appeared. The claws look different here because at the point they were part of the gloves. It's strange sort of to see this because this is the Wolverine we often associate with the X-Men and the 90s, but the mask is different. The Wolverine we associate with the 80s before the Jim Lee run in the X-Men is sort of the brown and mustard Wolverine. But this suit was first. And it would be strange to get this mask, which very few people know this mask, to get this in such close concession to getting the black and yellow samurai type mask for the first time. And am I the only one who didn't think that mask looked right? Am I the only one who thought that it was off kilter the entire time we were seeing it on screen? Anyway, um, could Wolverine be with Department H? Could Wolverine be a member of Alpha Flight? Those are all things that are at least fun to consider here. But there's only a couple more talking points I have. For me, I think that this is a sign of a hard reboot coming. I think that this is a sign they're throwing their hands in the air. They want a fresh start, but you might as well run some tread off the Jackman tires before you recycle the Wolverine. I think that it's going to be interesting with whatever that next big arch is, because if they do a hard reboot on the Marvel Cinematic Universe, they genuinely might have killed it. They might have. I don't know who's coming back. And I don't mean the actors. I don't care about the actors. I mean the people watching the movies. I love the character of Iron Man. I love the character of Wolverine. Guys, I don't know if I'm going back. I like to think I would. I didn't go see Deadpool and Wolverine in the theaters. I waited and bought it on YouTube. I don't know. And who goes to the theaters anymore? The the movies winning at the box office are few and far between, and there's not a whole lot of middle relievers as far as the box office is concerned. Right? Those movies that were made for not terribly much and make quite a bit of money. I haven't been keeping up with it like I used to, but guys, I don't really hear about any of that anymore. The last thing I want to talk about here is what other possibilities does this open up? Maybe what happens is this becomes a brand. So okay, you've got the Marvel Cinematic Universe timeline. And then there's the Versus movies. Whatever it would be, right? Marvel has a pretty good history of good guy versus good guy rivalries. What other possibilities does this open up? Wolverine versus Punisher, Wolverine versus Spider-Man, Punisher versus Daredevil, Thor versus Beta Ray Bill. Thor versus Beta Ray Bill probably could be worked into the genuine Thor timeline in whatever iteration of the Marvel Cinematic Universe we end up sticking with. In fact, I kind of wish it had been. I kind of think it should have been. I think that probably should have been where we went instead of Thor 3. But, guys, I don't know if I saw Thor 3. That's a troubling realization. Anyway, should there be a great rebranding with a separate type of one-off movie runs, I don't know if that's a win or a loss. I don't know if that's good or not. Right? So you would be setting these stories as sacred to themselves. So whatever it is that happened inside a Wolverine versus the Hulk movie, whatever led up to that event, can be specific to the comics. The comics, we all know this, do not necessarily actually bounce off of one another in any timeline. That's why the comics went to the whole multiverse saga before the movies even. But then you're also unloading rounds into something that's kind of throwaway. Right? I don't know. It's sort of confusing, but I think that if they're going to do this, this is the absolute perfect time for it. When you're probably at the end of when you're probably heading for a reboot anyway. Anyway, that's all I have for this video. If you like or appreciate what I do, hitting a like button really does help me out. If you are here by chance but not design, this is sort of the stuff that I talk about on the channel, so consider hitting the subscribe button and sticking around for more. And as always, hope to have you back for the next